Have you been in a season of loneliness? Or maybe your friendships aren't great influence? Or you wish you had better friends? Hello, friend. It's been said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is a sobering thought. In fact, they've done this study in just the finances alone, that if you took your 5 closest friends, your income is probably the average of those 5. That is really weird and powerful because we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, not just financially, but spiritually, relationally, in all areas. We either rise or fall to the level of our friendships. I would argue friendships are pretty important, wouldn't you? But as I look around our culture and honestly within the church, we kind of stink at friendships, but we don't need to. Today we're going to look at my favorite group of friends so that we can learn some lessons from it and apply it to our life. David's mighty men of valor. Okay, first of all, what a cool name. Like, if I wouldn't get mocked, I would try to convince my friends that that's what we're just going to call ourselves that. We're the mighty men of valor. But please slap me if I ever do that. But these mighty men that it's talked about there, I mean, if you look at the descriptions of them, they're like, oh, they killed like 100 people, and oh, they took this rock and just destroyed this whole people. Now, we're not just looking for violent friends. I mean, these friends were with David when he was on the run, and they're with him while he ruled a nation. These were men that grew together. So let's see what we can learn. Okay, the first point is found in 1 Samuel 22:2. Here's what it says. All those who were in distress or in debt or discontented gathered around him, and he became their commander. About 400 men were with him. So you just need to find people that are in debt and on the run. There you go, end of point. No, number 1. We tend to look to find friends that have stature, that maybe are high-level entrepreneurs, or that people look up to. But that's not what David surrounded himself with. David surrounded himself with people of substance, not stature. We need to look to have friends of substance. Forget the stature. Forget what the world looks at as being valuable. Who is God calling you to be in relationship with? See, we can hear that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with and be like, I want more money, so I'm only going to be friends with rich people. That is not the purpose of stating that. It's like, look at their character. Look how, if you're a dude looking for manly relationships, look for how their wife looks at them. People that have been married a long time and their wife still looks at them adoringly, that is who you should be friends with, right? Look for those statures, look for those things, because when we get suckered into the world's standards of what's valuable and not, we can build these relationships around us that are successful in all the wrong areas. Number 2, grow together in the same direction. See, what was it David doing at the time where he met all these guys that were running away and in distress and debt? He was in distress. He was running. He was going to get killed by the king. And so he looked for people that were running the same direction as him. You need a thing in common to have friendships. Like, it's really neat to have friends that are different than you, and that matters. They shouldn't be like identical twins, but there should be a common subject. So if you want to go to church, have friends at church. If you're really into football, have that connection with football. I don't care what it is, but there has to be a common connection. And so years ago, when I was wanting to grow in areas as a husband, and that was something I was really looking at the time, I was mainly friends with people that were wanting to grow in that area. If you're in addiction and you're trying to overcome addiction, Have friendships with other people that are trying to overcome addiction and going in that same direction. This commonality unites us and connects us and gives us mission and purpose. Because there's nothing greater than meeting with a group of people where you're gathered around and you're sharing life. I mean, this happened to me yesterday. 2 guys I meet with every Tuesday. We're sharing our life. And one guy's sharing his life and what's going on. And then one of my friends is speaking into it. Well, you might want to watch out for this area. Oh, how about this? How can we pray for you there? And then I'm speaking in. And then I'm like, ooh, we gave him good advice. And then it's my turn. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm struggling with. And they're both giving me advice. And how can we pray for you in that? That is what friendship should be. And it happens when we're going in the same direction together. Number 3, transparency is required. Listen, you will only be as close to people as you let them be. You can have fun. You can do things together, but it will not be close until you let them in the areas you are afraid to. Too often, we meet as friends and it's like, how's it going? Oh, fine. Lies. It's not going fine. That's just hi. It's our American version of hi, at least. How are you doing? Fine. We're a bunch of fine people on Sunday morning. But real relationship happens when we're transparent, when we let people into the yuck of our life. Now, you don't need to let everyone in here. That's just messed up. But there does need to be a group of friends where you allow into the nitty-gritty, where it's like, man, this thought pattern I am just stuck on. Or that you can reach out to when you're tempted to go back to an addiction that you swore you wouldn't. Or if you fell flat on your face and you're embarrassed to tell them how you talk to your wife. This is where relationships are built. It's in the struggle, in the hurt and the yuck, letting each other in, and then someone sitting with you in it and still loving you. That is how we really feel loved, and that's how we can give love. So if you are not willing to be transparent, you'll know they don't really love you. They just love a version you are giving them. Number 4, relationships require time. You know when you see that friend that you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, wow, it was like we never skipped a beat. It's probably because a lot of time was spent a long time ago. Because eventually that will fade. If we don't regularly schedule time to be with certain people, intentionality, it won't be close friends. Because of this, there's certain friendships I meet weekly. Most of those meetings are only supposed to be an hour. They never go an hour. It's always an hour and a half, hour 45, sometimes 2 hours. But the whole reason for it to be regular is because that's how friendships are built. And without that regular list of meeting, you're going to drift. So calendar in time, set appointments. If it's not weekly, every other week. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It matters that it's consistent, both quality and quantity. And how do we have quality? We have quality by letting people into areas, by being transparent, and by having equal time of sharing. And you don't need to be like a total stickler for this, but you do need to be conscious. Are you someone that talks a lot? I am. And I have to be aware because I could keep talking for the whole time. Being a verbal processor, that's a danger. Or are you someone that isn't quick to talk? You're more internal and it's in your brain. You need to be more conscious that you need to let people in. You need to share. In fact, my friends that are more cerebral, they're stuck in their head. Sometimes they're not transparent because they're not saying it. They're not intentionally hiding, but they're not letting me into certain areas. And so if you're more of a thinker, just remember, your friends can't hear what you're thinking. You need to let them in there. And you need to be okay with it not being perfect out of your mouth. Number 5, grace. You know why we don't let people in? Because people are going to hurt you. It's true for all of us. See, my friend, if we were sitting in the same room together, I'm sure we would be awesome friends. And eventually, I'll hurt your feelings. Because I'm a human. And eventually, you'd hurt my feelings. Because you're human. I hope. Otherwise, we have a, bigger conversation. But grace is required in friendships. Any relationship where you are letting others in and you're entering into places they're letting you in, there will be hurt. And if we do not have these environments of grace, we'll go from one friendship to another friendship to another friendship, and there will be a wreckage along the way. And slowly but surely, we will harden our heart and not allow others in. And it'll even silence the voice of God in our life. See, the only way we can really have grace-filled relationships is through connection with God. See, it's said that the horizontal, our relationship with others, rests on the vertical, our relationship with God. And to truly have the grace that is required for deep, meaningful relationships, we need to have a deep, meaningful relationship with God. And if you want some tips with that, watch this video right here. I know it'll really help you.